Right then, back on the horse, Chelsea news. What's going on, guys, and welcome on back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. As always, mate, I do hope you're doing well. I really do hope that. And of course, welcome back to Chelsea News, which is the daily series here on Football Therapy, where I reflect on what's being said about Chelsea, giving my thoughts on it, but as always, more importantly, asking for yours. And in today's video, we are reflecting on an article, just some talking points, really, from the Telegraph about Reece James potentially extending his contract, his relationship with Willie Issa, the mentality monster that's made Chelsea a team again. And despite, disappointing results lately, we have seen a resolute defence and a team spirit that was absent in recent previous iterations of Chelsea, like under Potter and even, Mauricio Pochettino. Now, Newcastle apparently in for Axel Disasi, which could be a huge positive, opportunity for Chelsea to offload a player that's, in the bomb squad. And when I say bomb squad, I mean Disasi and Raheem Sterling. Huge concerns over the injury of Liam Delap. Of course, he went off with a shoulder injury in our draw away at Bournemouth, which leads me to have a little bit of, I say fun, the Strasbourg fans won't thank me for this, but talks about Emanuel Emegha. Of course, he is joining us in the summer to be basically the Nicholas Jackson replacement. Is there a conversation where we bring him next month prematurely to be an additional much-needed striker? We'll look at his stats a little bit as well. So strap yourselves in, get comfortable. I'll thank you for joining me. If you want to support this content, you're most welcome to, friend. It's super easy. You like and subscribe on YouTube. If you are listening on a podcast platform, of course, this is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all good podcast platforms. Please do follow and give a 5-star review, as that does help me out a lot. This content is available for you everywhere, man. So thank you for supporting me, as always, and let's get into it. So Matt Law wrote an article on the Telegraph speaking about Reece James, how he's becoming a true leader. And while I'm not going to moonwalk through this very, very long article, I want to speak about a few talking points. We all know the story about Reece James coming through the Chelsea Academy, going away to Wigan to play on loan as ostensibly a teenage right back, being moved into midfield to basically save them from relegation, even given the armband at the end of the season, a young teenager in the midfield. Of course, comes back to Chelsea, Frank Lampard uses him, Tuchel wins the Champions League with him as a wing back, and indeed like a right centre back in the following season, and now we see him playing a lot as central defensive midfielder, because that's how Maresca views the Chelsea captain. Now his role as a leader, as a captain, has been growing. Apparently he's been really impressing people inside Chelsea. You guys know my position. I had great concerns about Reece James becoming Chelsea captain. Not because I didn't think he was a world-class player, not because I didn't think he was proper Chelsea, as it were. I knew all that, but I was concerned about he was a little bit introverted and passive, and in a world where we were used to like your JTs as captains, and even Azpilicuetas that spoke really well and represented the club well, I had concerns that Reece James wouldn't be able to do that, but he is getting better at their side. He's not perfect yet. He's not like some, big, loud, extroverted, charismatic, gregarious leader, but he speaks better and better, and of course we see him leading on the pitch. He's an amazing captain now on the football pitch. The way he leads by example, world-class performances, his relationship with Enzo Fernandez, and indeed, when we've got him on the pitch, generally we're resolute. I mean, that Bournemouth result was really disappointing, but we were defensively sound with him on the pitch in the middle of the park. Wesley Fofana creating a wonderful partnership with Trevoh Chalobah. I think they've got 5 clean sheets in 6 games they've played together, and indeed, even Rob Sanchez is proving me wrong, so I love being proved wrong if it means Chelsea are playing well and doing all the right things. Matt Law goes on to speak about Willie Issa, of course the retired rugby pro who was brought in as, I suppose, a mentality monster. We've seen that video clip of him doing the haka in the dressing room, which I've got to love. I know it's proper stereotypical, like the Kiwi guy getting in the dressing room with a Kiwi rugby player and doing the haka to get the boys going, but it seemed to work and I actually love that. Apologies if you can hear a rumbling in the background. That is my washer dryer going completely chicken oriental and probably walking around the gaff because it seems to be broken. But yes, if you have a fragile young team that are trying to like grow together and learn about team spirit, sticking in an absolute, massive rugby warrior in there doing the hacker, it is apparently helpful. And since he's come in, to the credit of his appointment, it seems like there is a much better team spirit and that kind of warrior attitude. This is followed up with Matt Law of the Telegraph saying they have a really strong relationship, and him in the leadership group. So there's a few players in the leadership group at Chelsea, and obviously Willie Easter speaks to them a lot, and it's so well regarded and protected, this relationship, that they will not speak to anyone else outside the leadership group about their conversations. Even in like the Chelsea hierarchy above them, they keep this sort of togetherness, this bond, which I must say was hugely needed for this young Chelsea team. Of course, we enjoyed the golden generation with your Drogbas, your JTs, your Lampards, your Czechs, Balaks, and other like leaders in the team that had a really great leadership group. We are a bunch of kids of inexperience, so the fact how they're cultivating that and they've brought in this guy who's implementing a winning mentality, it's really, really important. So, again, go seek out that article if you want the details on it from, it's titled How Bond with Samoan Hacker Expert Helped Reece James Become Chelsea's True Leader. This was published before the draw to Bournemouth, so of course the vibes have since been down, but it's still relative, so irrelevant, should I say. So go check it out. And let's move on and speak about the next story in today's video, which is Axel Disasi to Newcastle United. So this is an article on Court Offside that I'm referencing here. Apparently several clubs are lining up concrete moves for Chelsea's French centre-back Axel Disasi in the winter transfer window. His contract runs until 2029, so he's still got a few years left on his deal. Sources close to the situation have informed Court Offside that Dortmund are not alone, because Borussia Dortmund are interested in Axel. Galatasaray, who are a high-profile Turkish club, Juventus, and indeed Newcastle United and West Ham are all monitoring the situation as they look for experienced defensive reinforcements. Of course, he played on loan at Aston Villa as well for, was it 6 months? I can't remember last season. I mean, West Ham doesn't surprise me. I kind of thought that was his level. I do not want to disrespect Disasi here, because I actually think in certain systems, he's a good defender. We saw him put in a defensive masterclass. Was it in the Etihad? I can't remember. I think he had one really good game where we went, wow, what a good defender. Juventus would explore a loan move, apparently, with a buy option to balance their wages and amortization, while Newcastle United and West Ham see him as a strong fit for the Premier League, to this physical tempo, on a permanent deal. Galatasaray may turn to Disasi if their primary defensive target proves difficult. Apparently even Lyon as well are considering a loan move during the African Cup of Nations because they're losing players. It goes on to say Newcastle move could be ideal for Axel Disasi, and I must say I sort of agree, because Newcastle are a massive club. They got a great support. I know they're sort of floundering in the Premier League a little bit, but they're not going to get relegated. They've got good players who'll be playing with, an amazing midfield in front of him in terms of Guimaraes and Joelinton and Tonali. Good attackers there as well, and they're playing in the Champions League, the biggest stage. I mean, that would be probably the most alluring move for Axel Disasi. If you go to Newcastle and you play really well and you are a starting centre-back, dare I say there's a chance you get called up for France again. Do you know what I mean? This is the kind of profile of club. You could also think Juventus maybe, but if he wants to stay at the highest level in the Premier League, of course he's in his prime. Apparently he's only on £80,000 a week, which is very reasonable in terms of the Premier League climate, which is probably a good thing because it doesn't price him out of the move. Yeah, man, Axel Disasi. I've got no axe to grind with Disasi. He scored the odd goal for us. He was definitely a vibesman. I probably feel more bad for him than I do Raheem Sterling in terms of the bomb squad for different reasons. He does, and he has been getting his head down. Of course, he's been playing for the under-21s. He's been captaining for them. He's captained Chelsea's. This is why I feel kind of bad for him. Raheem Sterling, I don't think ever captained Chelsea. Disasi played a bunch of games with the armband for Chelsea's first team in the last few years. So I'm not entirely sure what's gone wrong. I have speculated before that it is, of course, like a sporting director thing. If they decide he's not part of the setup, they'll bomb squad him. The thing is with Disasi, though, he's not on 300 £1,000 a week like Raheem Sterling is. Like, you can understand, well, you can make up your own mind whether you understand or not, but you can see theoretically while they would do that to push Raheem out and force him to sign elsewhere so they can relieve themselves of his insanely high wages, where Axel Disasi is on such an affordable wage. And, you know, there's been an argument that Chelsea at times could have done with him, but we're probably okay now. And actually, the biggest problem is the criminal underusage of Joshua Champong, which, to his credit, manager Enzo Maresca has admitted that was a mistake of his. Of course, we should have played him at Leeds. He said that was his biggest regret, not playing a Champong at Leeds. And actually, at Bournemouth, Tosin Adarabioyo wasn't even in the Chelsea squad, which of course speaks volumes about how he feels. He even referenced it in a post-match because everyone was talking about, oh, Enzo, you have no, seniority. Are you missing experienced players? And he was basically saying, well, who's the experienced player in the team? Tosin. Did he play well? Basically saying, Tosin's senior, he's 28, he's an experienced senior player, and he played S-word. So, shut up, journalists. It's not that. I like young players. Okay, fair enough, Enzo Maresca. I see what you're saying, mate. Yeah, man. So, look, not Tosin. We finished speaking about Tosin. Axel Disasi. It's nice that he's got a bunch of potential moves lined up. Maybe Chelsea didn't reintegrate him into the first team because they're like, right, keep fit with the under-21s because we know you've got a whole host of suitors. Your Juventus, West Ham, Newcastle United, Borussia Dortmund. We're going to get you a move in January, mate. We're not going to bring you into the first team and risk injury because you're not in our long-term plans. Let's get you that January move, mon frère, mon ami, and we'll go from there. So let me know what you think. Axel Disasi to Newcastle United. Solution? I think so. Let's move on. So we got to talk about the striker situation. Maresca explains that it looks quite bad in regards to Liam Delap. I'm just reading a little bit here on football.london. Maresca said the following: he was already out for 2 months and now he has to be out again. We don't know for how long, but it looks quite bad, his shoulder. He's been unlucky. We are a bit unlucky because we need this kind of number 9. We tried it today with Mark. Now, to Liam Delap's credit, I do think he's looked appropriate in terms of what Enzo Maresca is trying to do on the pitch. In terms of what he wants in his number 9, we know Maresca loves Delap. Not only did he coach him in Man City's under-23s, where I've said before and I will remind you, he scored at a rate of over a goal a game. I know, it's a different level. But still, Maresca saw greatness there in the same way he saw Lavia and Palmer, greatness there as well. Delap's good, really promising season with Ipswich Town, of course, last campaign was just more evidence he could do it at this level. And if you remember when we played Ipswich twice, he did bully us, Liam Delap. And Maresca, waxed lyrical about Liam Delap. We know he loves him. So he's got his number 9, the guy he likes. It's obvious he needs space to grow, develop, to become a true star and Chelsea number 9. But I'm glad we have him, and I won't tread too much over old ground too much. But, of course, loads of teams wanted him. I think Bayern Munich, Juventus, Newcastle United, Manchester United, they all were willing to activate the £30 million release clause to sign him. But Chelsea got him. He chose to come to play for Chelsea. So that's good. And I'm glad we got him. And even though, I'm worried about how he gets wound up too easily and, dragged into fights and it's too easy to wind him up, I do like what I saw in glimpses before he had this injury again. I don't like João Pedro as a striker. I've done with that now. I'm open to have my mind changed again, like I said with Robert Sanchez in goal. I'm not fully changed, but I'm definitely on the turn with him in terms of a positive way. But João Pedro, I think his off the ball work's been very poor for the last few weeks. So, Mark Yu is a fun wrecking ball. He's a teenager. He might become an excellent striker. I think he needs to go on a loan somewhere for a long time. I think maybe we sell him, make a huge profit on him, and put a really reasonable buyback clause in. And then, say you sell Mark Yu for £30 million, which isn't insane to think. I mean, maybe 25. You sell him for £25 million, you've times your investment by 5. You've got a return by times 5. We spent £5 million, you get £25 million back. It's a hugely profitable deal. And then you could say to the club you've sold to, right, we'll put a buyback clause in for £40 million. Yeah. So if he stays and plays with you for 2 years, becomes this absolute superstar striker, you just buy him back and say, thanks, guys. See you later. You know, and then you can bring him back and you get a really good striker for 40 million quid. That's the kind of thing I'd do. I know a lot of you guys really, really like you. I do as well, but I just think there's promising elements there. I think you see him press in a way you don't see Joao Pedro press, so it's exciting. But ultimately, I think we need another striker sooner rather than later. Nico Jackson's done. He's not coming back to Chelsea. We don't need to tread over that ground again. I think the relationship's broken down with the manager, so he isn't coming back. Whether he's staying at Bayern or whether he's going elsewhere, he will have suitors. We won't get the 100 million we wanted for him before, but I think we'll make 50 million quid on him, which is a big profit, of course, similar to Noni Madueke, the big profit we made on him. So it leads me to speak about Emanuel Emegha, who essentially is a Chelsea player in the summer. He's already held up the shirt. We've already gone through the drama with Strasbourg fans being really annoyed that he's coming to Chelsea, their captain. Of course, I'm not going to go into detail about the Strasbourg, existential crisis, because they're enjoying better players. They're enjoying financial security. Of course, they're in financial trouble. And indeed, they've been enjoying good performances. I think they're in a little bit of a rut, but they're back in Europe, which is an incredible feat. But understandably, not all fans are happy with being a sister club for Chelsea. And I totally understand that. So if there are any Strasbourg fans out there about to listen to this, they're not going to like this. It's the theoretical talk about, can we bring Emegha in January? They won't like that. I mean, obviously there'll be like additional financial money going their way. Not that it matters, because Strasbourg is Chelsea, really. Do you know what I mean? I think Datsun Satpaev, the Kazakh striker, will go there, possibly in the summer. He's really, really good, and that would be an amazing, opportunity in the right level to jump up to. So I think he'll go there anyway. I wonder if he could be brought earlier. Probably not, though. Don't know what the Kazakh league's doing. But of course, they got Panicelli. They got Joaquim, the Argentine striker, who's really, really good. He's there and available. So of course they'll have him. But Emanuel Emegha is their captain, and I tell you what, Liam Rosenior would not be happy about Chelsea coming in and taking him. He'd probably take it on the chin, because he's thankful for Blue Co, the opportunities they're giving him, the players they're giving him ultimately. So he won't want to upset the bosses, but you can't imagine he'd be too pleased about Emegha. But I'm going to show you some stats for those of you who are watching on YouTube. I'm going to switch over to the stats page and look at Emegha. For those of you listening, I'll try and sort of narrate as we go. So let's hop over now and look at the understat comparison between Emanuel Emegha and Liam Delap this season. Right, so as you can see, limited minutes for both. 407 minutes for Emegha, 337 minutes for Liam, but it's still a sample size. What's that, about 4 games each, or nearly-ish? And goal per 90, Emanuel Emegha is 0.88, and of course Liam's yet to score a league goal. To be honest, if you are looking at the video, spoiler, Emanuel Emegha blows Liam Delap out the water for everything. Goals, assists, expected goals, about the same shots per 90, but he's actually scoring, unlike Liam. Expected assists, expected chains per 90, they're similar. Emegha's better, but the build-up, Liam's a lot better. Liam, of course, is really good at helping in the build-up, sort of dragging the team up the pitch. But in terms of offensive output, Emanuel Emegha absolutely blows Liam Delap out of the water. Of course, he's playing in League 1, not as strong league as the Premier League, but he's still very, very impressive indeed. Just switching over now to the FB ref scouting report for Emegha in the last 365 days. He is in the 99th percentile for a couple of metrics. One is non-penalty expected goals per shot, so he takes high-value shots, and his medium pass completion is in the 99th percentile. He blocks passes very well, and his general pass completion is in the top 3% of all strikers in Europe. His general attacking metrics, like non-penalty XGs, in the top 4%, non-penalty expected goals and non-penalty expected assists, combined, he's in the top 4% of all strikers in Europe. So he's very, very effective indeed. How old is he? Like 23-year-old striker? He's 22. He's a little bit younger than Liam Delap by a few months. So yeah, looking pretty impressive there. Right, now, as it stands, there's no stories, I don't think, about pulling Emanuel Emegha back or to Chelsea 6 months earlier, a few months prematurely. But I do wonder, if Liam Delap's out, can we navigate a Champions League knockout phase. Let's be honest, Champions League qualification fight battle in the Premier League with Mark Gue as your only conventional number 9. No. I'm not even going to pose that as a theoretical unanswered question. That is a rhetorical question, and it's no. It needs no answer because the answer is no. Yeah, man, I wonder if Chelsea try and get Emegha early or buy a different striker with the thought that Gue is going to go. I don't know, man. Because, yeah, will the Nico Jackson recall? I think that's very, very unlikely because we actually, this year have already tried a Nico Jackson recall, while he was in at a German airport. We were like, actually, come back, you have to come back now. And he was like, no, I'm not coming back. So we already know that doesn't work. And in the middle of the season, that definitely won't work unless, there's some amazing conversation where they were like, you know what, we're friends again, let's do this. But I'm not sure how amazing he's been playing for Bayern Munich, to be honest. Maybe a lot of people would have rather an Emegha than Jackson. But anyway, I put it to you guys. Let me know what you think. Please do leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you for liking and subscribing on YouTube. Thank you for following and 5-starring on podcast platforms. And I hope to see you guys back here very soon. Take care. Peace.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living. I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines. I rap through thought. Body bag the verse. Outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double, silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo, chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, baby.